On the Adobe certification test for Illustrator, you're going to be asked to identify at least 4 different design elements or principles. You're going to be given several different images and you have to match which image shows each principle or design element best. So let's look at some of the elements and principles you're going to be asked to identify. The first element is going to be texture. When we're referring to visual texture, we're creating an illusion of some real-life object, and we're trying to create that illusion through the use of color, through the use of marks, through the use of values, so that we can imply that that object is rough, smooth, silky, bumpy, and so forth when we see it on a piece of paper or a two-dimensional screen, like your computer. This image of the rocks is a perfect example of visual texture. You may be asked to identify an example of symmetrical balance. Symmetrical balance means that the image is perfectly equal on both the left and right-hand side. If I were to cut this image in half, you would see because the placement of the buildings is so similar, it's so similar in scale and similar in color, the image would practically be the same in the left and right hand areas. So this image is a perfect example of symmetrical balance. Radial balance is an example of an image that radiates outwards from a center point. So if we look at this design for the lamp, we can see how it radiates from this circle towards the center, and if we follow the lines out, the design keeps amplifying as it radiates away from that center point. You can see examples of radial balance in nature in images of seashells, flowers, starfish, and things of that nature which start out with a center point and radiate outwards. Lastly, you're going to be asked to identify an image of a strong focal point. If we look at this image, you can see that our eyes are immediately drawn to the apples and other fruit on the table because they are in sharp focus, whereas everything surrounding the fruit on the table is very blurry. So the focal point is very clear in this particular image. In summary, texture is going to be a simulation of a real-life object and how it feels on a two-dimensional surface. Symmetrical balance is going to be an image that is very similar in the left and right hand side, so that if you were to cut it right down the middle, you would have an image that is similar in size in both the left and the right hand sides. Radial balance is an image that has some kind of motif towards the center of the design, and then it radiates outwards and expands as it hits the edges of your canvas. And a focal point is going to be the first thing that you look at in any one given image, typically because it's bigger or it's in sharp contrast to the other things in the background.